This is version 2.0 of one of my very best baitfish patterns. You know I love my baby fats and my low fats, but if you haven't fished the Belly Scratcher Minnow, you need to try it. We've updated the materials, and watch till the very end because I'm going to show you some techniques to keep the eye nice and slender how it's supposed to be. Not like Brigham. His eyes are like this. He looks like one of those guppies that just... I'll send you a picture, I'll show you.
That's a big brown.
Buenos dias, amigos. Mi nombre es Cheech y nosotros vamos a hacer una mosca de tipo streamer. Is that what you wanted me to do, Brig? All right, let's just start it normal. This is the Belly Scratcher 2.0. This is a fly that's been in the old quiver for a long time. Originally kind of thought up when my good buddy Brian, old Brian Gregson, the photo man, he's going to Argentina and he needed a small fly that he could put a ton of weight on but still keep the minnow shape. He went down, did some real good work with them, and the Belly Scratcher Minnow was born. So we're going to tie it with just a few different materials, and I'll give you some really good pointers on keeping the head shape right. And watch to the very end because we're going to paint it up, and there's a new type of glue that we're going to put on that. All right, enough talking. There are lots of people who say I talk too much in my videos. Well, guess what? Fancy communication is needed to be able to tie a fly. So anyway, here we go. This is 6/0 thread. This is a 2/0 either Fulling Mill streamer stripper or Gamakatsu B10S that has the nano smooth coat. So 6/0 Semper Fly classic waxed, really good thread. Where am I next, Brig? Okay, so on the other fly I would wrap some chenille and then I would tie in wire, but on this one I like to tie the wire in first, and I like to just lay it over the front of the fly and just a little bit coming out the back. And I'm going to tie it in, I don't know, maybe right midpoint. And I'm going to wrap my thread back. And then I'm going to fold the wire over, and then I'm going to wrap it back forward. It's really critical to have some good flush cutters with this. Obviously you can cut it with scissors, but really precision cuts on this wire will make it easier to work with. And you know, you don't have a bunch of wire poking out. That's really sharp right where I cut it. So if I just take my thread and take the tension off while I cover that up, then I'll be able to add more tension. Okay, so that wire's not pulling out. I'm now going to take this and go straight up with the wire. See the wire right there? And wrap in front of it a little bit. All right, so the wire's in place. Now I'm going to come back a little bit down the bend. On the first fly, first version of it, it was a chenille body, but I like dubbing because we can keep the fly thinner. The whole premise behind this fly is that, like a Clouser minnow, for example, is as wide as a set of dumbbell eyes. This one is just going to use stick-on eyes so it can stay nice and slender all the way through, just like a little baitfish. All right, ice dub. I think this is called, what is it? Minnow Belly. Minnow Belly. If you watch the video, go to our Instagram channel. There's a video of me tickling a trout belly and catching it with my bare hands. Must see TV. All right, another little hack that I'm going to do is I'm going to double up this dubbing loop because I want this to be a durable fly. I'm going to be putting a lot of pressure on this, so I'm going to just do two loops of thread, close it off, and then I'm just going to advance my thread all the way to about right there. I always know how far I need to go forward because it's the width of an eye, so I want the eye to stick there without a lot of bulk. So there you go. My thread's about an eye width back, if that makes any sense. Find your favorite dubbing twister tool. If you don't know how to do a dubbing loop, we have all kinds of beginner videos and hacks. You got to go check it out. We break down specific techniques all the time. But I'm just building a basic dubbing loop. It doesn't have to be sparse, but don't get it too thick. And I don't want to spin this up too much because it will just cord all up. So we'll hit it with a spin, about like that. So once it's here, You can tease it out a little bit if you want, or you can just wait till it's on the hook. And I really like to do this with my rotary vise. That wire will just kind of stays out of the way amazingly well. So just pass over it once you get there. And dubbing loop was almost the right length. We had a little bit too much. All right, so from here we're just going to nuke that last little chunk of the loop, and we have a bushy minnow body. So we're going to take our fancy little piece of Velcro on this Stonfo tool. We're just going to get mean with it. Like, this is what Brig does when he sees a plate full of hot dogs, just freaking hammering down on it. So just imagine that while you're brushing it out. That's the vigor in which we work with this fly, people. All right, so now the vigor. Brigham, I'm a walking thesaurus. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Goodness gracious. It's like I'm parenting and tying flies at the same time. What the freak. All right, so this is the part where it's completely up to you. If you want a fly that just barely gets down, you can just probably do like 1 or 2 little 3 mil beads. I have 3.5 millimeter beads. They can be any bead. I have some beads listed in the recipe. It's definitely not the be all end all, but I had some slotted beads sitting right here on my desk. I think one's gold, one's like rose gold, and one's metallic pink. We're just going to throw them on there. You don't have to do this for the fly to work. So, and another cool way to do this is you could just do like one 3.8 mil and the other one 3, and it would be just fine. So this way our little weights will cause the fly to keel, and when we brush the stuff down over the top of those beads, it's going to cover them up nicely. So wrap your thread, fold this over. This is a critical step. Fold the wire back over on top of itself and give plenty of wraps. And we'll trim that off nice and flush again. And we're going to super glue that one, because that's usually the one that will pull out if it does. The other thing you can do is you can use just like 50-pound braid if you like braided fishing line, if you're a heathen conventional fisherman like me. Okay, now comes zonker strip. So this is a size 2. I usually like the normal width of a zonker strip for this one. If anything, I'll go to the micro strip. A magnum strip is too bulky and it won't swim the tail of your fly properly. And because of that, I will go and I cut the leather into a point. Okay, so if I have a piece of zonker strip and I want to trim the tail, I'm just going to pull it, grab it with my ring finger and thumb right here and kind of stretch it out just a tiny little bit, and then really fine point scissors like these Renomed, these are the FS3, will get in there and they'll cut the pelt without cutting any of the fibers you don't want to cut. So I'm just going to come in here on the other side, do it again. That other side can get squirrely, and then right here I'm going to cut the leather and trim it if I need to, if it's too thick. This is a pretty thick leather, so I cut the leather kind of like that, and there you go. Roughly that's how you do, but I did it better on this one. So that's how it should look. Now you determine how long you want your tail. Keep in mind, if you have a long rabbit tail, it can tend to foul. So I want my tail to maybe stick out of the fly about that far. So I pinch the portion where the hook would go through the leather, just right here. And then I just take that mark and I poke my hook right through that leather. You'll hear. Okay, so we adjusted the camera a little bit for that. But now we're just going to pull this zonker strip over the front of the fly. And you never want to just take your thread and just tie down zonker like that, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to floof it out. And the easiest way to find a tie-in point is to grab a bodkin or a real fine pair of scissors and just kind of make a part. Brigham used to be a hairstylist. He taught me that trick. So you make a part, moisten your fingers, lick it, and then you just have plain, pure, nothing but leather that you just wrap down. So 3 or 4 turns. And then here's another tip: with a real fine tip scissor, you can just run that top blade right across the leather here. And when you cut it, you don't cut any of these fibers, and you're ready to use that next piece on your next fly. So maybe what we're finding out, Brig, is fine tipped scissors are a must for working with zonker strips. There you go. Brigham's nodding his head. Even he agrees. Okay. So now we get to build the head. This is a really good amount of room that I've left myself. This isn't going to look super pretty until it's done. So just bear with me here. All right. Bruiser Blend Junior dubbing is what we're going to use. I have the light color dispenser. You can buy them in singles, but I have it. I use a lot, obviously. And the top of this fly is going to be a color called Hidden Treasure. It's kind of a light coppery brown with gold and UV mixed into it. It's an awesome color. I designed it for kind of a lighter baitfish top. So that's what we're going to use it for. So I'm going to get some of the dubbing, and I'm going to preen it and just pull it against itself. And what that does is it straightens all the fibers. Okay. Once you have it like that, we're going to bunch it back up, and we're going to kind of create a little miniature mustache. Dude, if you put that across a fly like this, it would look just like a mustache, Brig. Okay, that fly is coming soon. All right, so we have the full bulk of this bruiser blend. I'm not going to tie it in right in the middle. I want to tie it in so most of it's going over the eye, and it's critical that your thread's right behind the hook eye. Okay, so we're going to munch that down with 3 or 4 wraps. So that's how it should look. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom with some cream bruiser blend. Prep it in the old fingers, mash it up, smoothie smooth, and then sorry about the camera angle, but you get the view. You get the idea. This fly is easier tied with a rotary vise. All right, so there we are, pretty much ready. So from here, I'm going to take my finger, just kind of wiggle it back and forth, and take the head and kind of preen it out, fan it out just like that. You're going to do that on top and bottom. And what that does, when you fold it back, it makes it so that it covers up the sides of the fly. So I'm just going to take that top color, we're going to fold him back, bring my thread up. While I'm holding my thread, I can let go of that top color and now preen the bottom color under, and now I can finish off my thread here. I'm just going to throw a quick whip finish in this, and then we'll get to the art part of the project. Okay. All right. Doesn't look like much still. That's cool. We're going to take this comb. Well, before we do that, you can see I have a big open area right here on the fly.
All right, move it up.
Well, I can show it on this side.
Okay, go for it.
So as you can see, if you tie the fly and it's got a big open spot like right here, what you do is you grab the fly and you wiggle it back and forth like that. And that repositions the bruiser blend so it covers the sides of the hook as well. Okay, from here, once we have it positioned, we're just going to brush it out lightly. You don't need to really torque on it because some of this will pull out if you're too rough. It will pull out anyway a little bit. But once it's nice and combed out, now we can start shaping the head with our fingers to see what it's really going to look like. Okay, so now we're starting to take shape. It's got that cool kind of minnow profile. So now we get to color it up. So this sepia colored marker is one that I use on all kinds of stuff. It's a good color to just darken up whatever color you have. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to start painting the top of this all the way down the middle, and then I'm going to feather it out on the sides a little bit. Ah, I always poke myself. These hooks are so sharp, Brigham.
I saw that go in your finger, dude.
This is how much I love you guys. Brigham, I think I'm going into shock, dude. Do you have a Band-Aid? It hurts really bad. Okay. So sepia's there. Now, use one hand to blend your dark colors and one hand to blend your light colors. So I'm going to do lefty on the dark colors. I'm going to add a little bit more just to blend it in. More lefty. Now, I really like to do kind of a hot spot or some other color to blend with the whitish bottom. So I've got, what is this one? Mineral orange. Like it looks like a bright color, but if I just kind of play with that and feather it into this white, not really push hard, it will just kind of blend in, and then I use my left finger to blend this one. If you blend this straight into the beads, it will kind of create like a barred effect, so if you do that, it will make it look a little cleaner. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to put little gill plates on this one. So I like the Sharpies that are fine. If you ever want fine lines on a fly, the Sharpies almost work the best. They don't bleed. So I'm just going to grab the fly. I'll make this mark first, and when I flip it around, you'll see what it looks like. Like that. So that's just kind of like a little gill stripe. And then when baitfish get nervous, they like to flare open their gills. So I'm going to use the red one now, and we're just going to kind of make a little bit of red on this bad boy. Dang, that thing keeps poking me. All right. This is where this fly got really hard last time because we had tear mender glue, and it's a pain in the butt. So I have 100% switched over to just a gel super glue. And yes, it does matter a lot if it's gel or just like your standard Z-mint that I have here. Gel super glue will stay in one spot. It won't seep into the rest of your fly, and obviously very, very durable. So this old Loctite has these little squeeze tabs on the side. That's how you squeeze the glue out. It's really easy to be precise with this stuff. So I'm going to put a tiny little glob of super glue where I want the eye. And if you look at that, you can just see that little tiny glob of super glue. That's enough to lock that eye in. I think I have 3/16 size super pearl eyes. You can use bigger, smaller, different color. But just keep in mind you don't want to bulk up this head too much. So when I put this eye on here, it's going to suck all the head material down and it's going to slender up the whole fly. One eye in place, as you can see, looks pretty nice. And then I'll do the same on this side. Okay, and then you will probably want to throw some head cement on this since that super glue won't seep into it. So I'm just using some Z-mint here. We'll get that in there. Got a tiny little bit stuck in the hook eye. What do I have? A rubber leg? I'm either going to have a rubber leg stuck through the hook eye or we'll clean it out. There we go. All right, so that's the fly. That's the Belly Scratcher Minnow. Like I said, you can tie them with a bunch of different weight profiles, but out of the vise and in the water, it's going to swim and look just kind of like, let's see, like that. So a lot of movement, super cool pattern. I've caught a ton of fish on it, but mostly look at the eye, look at the head. It's nice and thin this way, not bulky because of barbell eyes. So anyway, Belly Scratcher Minnow 2.0, tie 'em in whatever color you want except for thin mint.